What's up, y'all? On this episode here, I've got the old truck back in the shop. I've got a new mechanical fuel pump on the bench over there for it, on account of mine in here is 8 or 10 years old and she's getting a little weak with me cleaning out my fuel filters every so often and sucking a bunch of stuff out of the tank. So, before I go putting the new fuel pump on, I figured it's probably about time. Oh yeah. Also, we got a new puppy. See it? See him? That's Muffin. That's Bagel. Hey Bagel. You're a bagel. Yes. That's right, buddy. Anywho, I figured it sure would be sponsible of me before I put the new fuel pump on and tried to have my fuel lines all clean to drop the gas tank out of this old truck for the first time probably ever. So it's been in place under there for like 41 years. 41 year worth. The rust and the crust and the stuff inside of it should come out nice and easy. Anywho, now we'll go ahead and get down under there and start associating on what we need to do to take that loose and drop it down. Hopefully it's not too heavy, probably 1,000,000 pounds. Down here underneath the truck, I've done sprayed on my 2 nuts. Up here, hopefully that bolt holds in place, probably going to need a wrench on top. But I just sprayed on that one. And my other strap mount over here. I'm going to slowly take those loose, but before then we'll put a board and a jack up under here and support on the weight, and we'll slowly take those loose and ease it down. And I think when I lower it some, it's going to be easier to get to my lines on top of the tank up there. Yep, that's an orange air hose. That's my evap fuel line, evap vent tube. Now I've just got my 2 retaining bolts removed, what hold on my strapalizers to the gas tank. Now we'll come up in here and these should twist, turn, slide one way or another to get the straps out of our way. Oop, maybe, nope. I know how to operate this thing. No, almost. It's just too difficult. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so actually the hole is wider on the back side here, so you pull it outward like that, and then it'll slide down. Woo! Okay, now I've got the tank down a couple inches, and this is what it looks like on, well, I'm just making a shadow. This is what it looks like on top of it. See, I've got the one electrical connection here, that's my fuel gauge. We'll be unplugging that. There is one of those hose clamps, what you use a pair of pliers on there. There's a piece of orange air hose used as a vent tube, and that's hooked up to a vent. We'll pull that off, and then all we've got, you may be able to see it, I don't know, but there's a filler neck back there. She's got a worm drive clamp on it. We're gonna unworm drive it, take that loose. We'll get those couple things loose, and the next thing you know it, the tank will be coming down or be all the way out. Okay, effortlessly got the fuel tank down. I ended up, I had to take my filler neck instead of taking it loose here like I'd like to have, because that makes dropping it a lot easier than fishing that filler neck hose through. But that worm clamp, she just wasn't having it. So we went to that end, and it came loose pretty good there. That old filler neck, it was just welded to the tube over there, but she came off. Now we'll just drag it out and assess how horribly disgusting it is. What do you think, guys? Did I do a good job? Yeah, I know it like needs to go back in first, right? Anyway, here's how the old fuel tank looks. Possibly first time it's ever been out in 41 years. And it's dirty. It's really dirty. So we're gonna go through. First we're gonna try to get the 5, 6, 10, 25 gallons of gas out of it real quick into that gas can. And then we're gonna take it outside, just clean up on it something awful real bad. And then after the outside is nice and cleaned up, then we'll get over here, pull out my sending unit, which I'm sure probably looks fine and operates normally. We'll pull that out and get to cleaning on the inside of the tank. Well, just poured 11 billion gallons of fuel out of this tank. Weighs a little less now, was very heavy before. And we just discovered, fellers, two things. One, why the old truck smells like fuel every once in a while. And two, we discovered that we got a fuel leak. Oh yeah, I was going to say why my gas mileage isn't so good. It's because we have a fuel leak. Down here on the bottom side of the tank where this one strap rides, there's a leaky spot down here somewhere. Haven't quite found that one. And right here, see, this is where she holds up tight against the truck frame, and right here we have a rub spot with a crack in the middle of it. She's leaking fuel out of here and the bottom side. So at least two, probably more than that, at least two places that that tank is leaking. That would explain my horrible fuel economy. And we just emptied it out from the vent tube on the top. I cleaned the top off real good, dumped all the gas out into my cans here. So now we get to flip it over, clean up the bottom side real good, figure out how we're gonna repair on our cracky leaks. I guess we may be checking into the fuel tank in my red truck on the other side of the shop. See if it's any worse off than this one. She's 1 year newer, probably fine. But for now, we get to come over here and pull the sending unit out and see what's left of it. I hear something rattling around in there while I'm shuffling the tank around. That's probably my float. Don't need that. Okay. Just pounded the ring around on my sending unit. If you're not familiar, see, there's these tabs here. This guy goes down, slides underneath, locks in place. You'll have to clean all the dirt out around these areas, and then you can get in right here with a little punch and then just drive it around to the left. Get the locking ring out of the way, then the sending unit pops out. And it looks about the way you would expect it to look. Definitely no sock on the end of my guy here. That would probably help with all the crud filling up my fuel filters. And it looks like this is the connection to my fuel gauge. And that all works still somehow. So maybe we'll just clean up on this old sending unit, try to clean the ends of that wire there, and figure out a sock situation. Also, I'm kind of thinking with that not having the sock on it, I don't believe she quite reaches the bottom of the tank. Yeah, it looks like there's a big section of my tank that I just don't ever get down to because this thing's missing the sock filter screen on the end of it. So that's good. Anyway, look inside this thing if you can. Maybe you can. I don't know. Yep, there you go. You got the idea? No, probably not. There you go. No, you got the idea. She is crusty on the inside, and that is a whole lot of loose bits in there. So, we get to address the leaks. We need to get some metal putty fuel resistant stuff to seal up our 2, 3, 5, 7 cracky leak spots. And then we're probably going to go like put some rocks or something in here and a bunch of water maybe, and just and maybe that'll clean a bunch of that stuff out, fill it up, dump it out 11 million times. And yeah, I guess we also got to figure out how we're driving that truck to work tomorrow. Are you a fuel tank? Well, we are cobbling something together here to get us through until tomorrow, so I can get back to work and get some proper quick steel type of something to seal the gas tank back up, and, you know, need a sock for the sending unit. Anyway, what we're doing for now, for the next day or so, you may notice, nope, maybe not. You may notice this here is my fuel line. That's my vent tube. I've just got it capped off. And the fuel line here is turned straight up, going through this very convenient rust hole in the front of the bed. And I mean, she's just right there. The turn's off right at the front of the bed. It's almost like they planned for it. Oh, hey, look. There's your problem. Ain't got no gas tank in it. Anyway, coming up here inside my rusty old bed, see, here's my original old fuel line that we will be cutting out and replacing after we're done with this, but right now we're using it for the extra length. She's stubbed up through the hole. I've got me some new fuel line down here, which is going to get us into the gas tank, the gas can tank, but I didn't have a connector piece to go between the two fuel lines, so I came over here to this old trans cooler off of the cop car out there, and I hacksawed me a piece. I got it off of the good side here too, the side that went to a rubber hose, so I can still make use of that thing if I needs to. I'm sure I'll need to. Anyway, so now I believe I has a ways to stick this in here between the two hoses, clamp it together, and put her in the end of a gas tank, and you get the idea. Alright, that's professional. Now we get to find out if the old mechanical pump on the side of the block can succulate from that far away up in the air back down. Yeah, hopefully it'll be fine. I also haven't installed my my new mechanical fuel succulator pump, so should be fine. It's so convenient working on old stuff. You just take all the dirt that fell off of it and you sweep it into the oil and the axle grease that leaks out of it. See, it's like full circle recycling. Everything works out so great. Anyway, forgot to turn on the camera a minute ago. See, the truck's not in here. She's parked in the yard. Seems like the mechanical fuel pump pumps out of this gas can out the bed of it, no problem. So that'll work for right now. And in the next second, I'll be here after work tomorrow, and we'll just clean the heck out of this gas tank real bad. Try to seal up all the leaky spots in it, and I don't know, shoot it with primer or something. Maybe it'll last longer, probably not. Here we are after work the next day. The old jerry can rigged up maneuver worked pretty well. Made it like 32, 40 miles, something like that, I don't know, back and forth. Didn't seem to drink near as much fuel as it normally does. Reckon the tank's probably been leaking a while. Anyway, got the truck pulled back in the shop with the hood up, motor cooling off. We're gonna go ahead and be getting into replacing the mechanical fuel pump that we got over here. Ooh. On account of that one's 10 years old, and I think she's been getting weak from all the stuff clogging my fuel filters over the 10 years. Anyway, right this second, because it's still bright and beautiful out, before we get into that, we're going to come over here to the gas tank, and we've got a whole mess of stuff to do to that, fellers, let me tell you. For starters, we'll get that last hose clamp and the filler neck off of it. She was like friction welded into place, just was not coming loose, but now I can get to it better, and I soaked it with the PV blaster. It's coming off. Anyway, the next step in messing with the tank after that is going to be sand the whole thing down real good. At least I've got a little sander, so that'll take care of all the big running footage all over the tank. Not have to use a piece of not hand sand too much. Anyway, we're going to sand it all down nice and clean, figure out where all the leaks are on the outside. We know there's at least 2. Seal those up with this quick steel putty type of situation, and then when we have the tank where it actually holds the liquids again, we're going to be coming over here and using this Evapo-Rust product for the first time ever. Seen it on YouTube 100 million times. Looks like great stuff. This is the first time I get to play with it. We're going to fill the tank with the water and this, or whatever it is you do to use that stuff. I'm pretty sure you dilute on it. And we're going to fill that in the tank, slosh it all around a whole lot, let it sit, whatever. Read the directions, for starters. And then after I'm done with that, the Evapor-Rust is going to strip all the surface rust that's all over the inside of the tank, but it's also going to strip the protective layer that's on the inside of the tank to stop the fuel from eating the metal. And that's where this stuff comes in. If you can read on it, this red coat fuel tank liner. We're going to be getting to play with that for the first time ever too, after we got the outside where it doesn't leak, and then we got the inside where it's stripped of all the nasty stuff, and then we're going to get to put that in there and slosh it all around and just refurbish on the old gas tank. She's 41, so it's probably about time. Couple hours of sanding and wire brushing, and then we'll just wipe it all down with the mineral spirits later. The bottom half of my clamshell stamped together fuel tank looks pretty good. I haven't found any cracks or leaks down there. That makes sense because it seemed to hold fuel pretty well below a quarter tank. Yep. Still got a lot of metal left in the tank, but this side definitely, top half of the shell here definitely has less metal than the bottom half. This is about the worst spot of it. You might be able to see. Got a bunch of little pinhole leaks there, and a bunch of about to be leaks. Not too bad across the rest of it. We got some pitting, but not too bad. And then got another good pinhole leak right there. And then our main one, the leak that let us know about all the other leaks, is right over here. Now I think I've got all my big wide open rust holes filled in with this putty. It was really pitted there. And my spot over here where the big crack was, leaking all my gas out. Now we'll just let that stuff set up a while, and then we'll all down with the rebuild spray. Then we can finally move to the inside. But first, I'm gonna hop over here to under the hood of the old truck and replace the fuel pump finally. Got impatient on the paint. Went ahead and flipped it over since all my quick steel stuff is on the top side, and I primed the sides and the bottom, let that cure for a minute, and then I had, the reason that it's yellow was because I had this, what is it calls it, this Restoratin farm equipment paint on account of it was on the clearance at Lowe's, so I already had that. That's the reason that it's yellow, but it looks like that might be some really good rust resistant type paint, and then I got the good Reinstalling primer underneath it. So we don't really care about if it stays looking nice under the truck, but you know, as much protection as we can get on the outside, and then here in a little bit on the inside of the metal to try to keep the fuel inside the tank. That would be cool. But it is kind of snazzy looking though. That's one coat of the yellow, so it might get a little yellower looking, but ooh, the shine on tour, boys. Golly, what a difference. It looks very, very different than it did, yesterday. Now, after lunch, I'll flip it over, paint the top side with the primer, hopefully not get too much overspray on the yellow, and then we'll make the top side yellow. That is a very crisp, clean looking gas tank, especially compared to what it looked like just a little bit ago. Paint's a little streaky and I missed a spot over here because I ran out of the paint, but whatever. It's a fuel tank and it looks a million times better than it did. And the best part is I think it doesn't leak so much anymore. Hopefully if we have any other pinhole leaks that were too small for me to see and seal up, we'll get those here in a minute when we go in with the new inside liner. But first, we're actually getting into the fuel pump replacement over here, quick. Ta-da! So right now, I'm going to come down here and pull out that fuel pump, which is this guy right here. It pokes inside the motor over there with the lever and a cam, spins her around. I've unhooked my two fuel lines that come off of it that you can't see at all, and then I've just taken this oil pressure guy. It's either a pressure sending unit or a pressure sensor, I don't know, but it makes the needle on the dash move with the oil pressures. I just got it broke loose. I'm gonna spin it out of the way, and then we'll have clearance to pull that out. Only two more bolts now that the fuel lines are loose. Ew. Yeah, there you go, now you can see it. Ew. There's the old fuel pump I put in this truck probably like 8-10 years ago, something like that. And there's our shiny new one, all bolted into place. Got my fuel lines reattached. You may be able to see a little bit. I don't know. It sucks and pushes on the fuel again. Now we'll just come over here and pop the oil sending unit sensor doodad back into place. Plug it back in, and then we'll get into more gas tank fun. So I wrapped up with the evapor rust, got it all in the tank, let it sit for a couple hours, washed it all around, let it sit for an hour or so on like each side of the tank, kept spinning her around and whatnot, get it all over it, dumped all that out, got it real good and rinsed out with the water hose. And now we're drying the tank. Now we're all dried out, which actually didn't take near as long as I thought it would with the whole leaf blower method. There wasn't a single drop in there when I scanned around with the light. Now we've got our red coat fuel tank liner opened up, and we'll try to, oh, there you go, get some light on your situation. Maybe you can see all that red all over everything is my new fuel tank inner lining. Ooh. See where it's thick there in the middle? That's where it's really filling up in that seam between the two clamshells. Sweet. Get you a shot of it flowing maybe. Yeah, you see the stuff? Oop, oop, no. Yeah. There it is. Here's a shot of the goo oozing. Oh yeah. Now I'll just tip it, turn it, tilt it all the way around, upside down and every which way a couple more times and let it cure overnight. Then we'll jerry can the old Ford to work one more time, and tomorrow after work we'll power wash underneath the truck and actually get working on reinstalling this right after we situate the fuel sending unit. Okay. Now, here we are nearly two full days later after we had poured our stuff on the inside of the fuel tank here. Give you a look at it. See? That's how you get a look. Yep. Is that better? You okay now? Anyway. Hi. Anyway, that's what it looks like on the inside of the tank. I think we're cured up enough to be reinstalling it. So now, before we put it back in, this here was the sending unit that we took out, and I was going to try to just doctor on it, clean all the rust off of it, make the tube longer and make my own filter thing. And I also have a leak in the float here because she's an old school copper type of float, so it would fill up with the gas and then sit lower and lower and just be real accurate. Also, the gauge only like worked most of the time, some of the time, half the time it came and went. Anyway, instead of messing with that, I just went ahead and spent the money and bought a whole new sending unit. I think it was like 90 bucks at O'Reilly's. But so that's going to be nice. we'll just drop in a whole brand new unit instead of spending all that time on this one, and maybe it'll be more accurate more often. It is interesting to me though that the potentiometer, I think that device is called there, seems to be like all open and it's like sealed up on this one. Sort of. I mean, I'm sure it gets full of gas in there too. Whatever. Probably doesn't matter. I guess we'll find out if we how long the fuel gauge lasts. But yeah, let's put that in the tank. Don't forget to renew tank seal in place first. Got it popped all the way in there now. There's two little locating tabs here and there that you'll have to get slid into their slots, and then it pops down pretty easy past these other three tabs. And then I can take my locking ring like here, so, and then slide it around. Probably tap on it with the chisel and a hammer. Then I just gotta clean up my grommet for the vent guy attachment, and we're about ready to stickalize a tank back into the truck. Woo! And after you drive this ring around, you might be able to see this end part here. See, there's a bit there that stops you from going too far. There's like a nub up guy, and on the three tabs on the tank it has a little snub up spot where that thing like locks in. You might not be able to see here, but on your rig you'll know what I'm talking about when you look at it. Yeah. Fellas, we got a new fuel sender installed. Woo! The tank ain't even full of rust holes. It ain't even full of rust on the inside. My fuel system is gonna be like, look at it. Ooh. So, how I got this thing back in here? I got underneath the truck. She's fairly light, the tank is, since it's empty. So I got under here, pushed it up into place where it goes, and then I put my jack and a block under it to hold it up for me. And then I lowered it back down a little bit. Then I lowered it back down a little bit so I can make all my connections up here. You may be able to see there's our new sending unit with the fuel line and the gauge harness plugged into it. Back over that way is our vent. I think you can see the vent. I don't know. And back past the sending unit is the filler neck. It's hooked up. And by the way, fellers, hook that filler neck up and tighten it down all the way before you put the tank all the way in place. Because I done pushed it all the way up and put my straps on before I tightened down that filler neck, and there's just a tiny little gap between that frame rail piece and the bed there, and it was just a nightmare to finish tightening it up after the tank was in place. But I wasn't taking the tank back down. And also, before there was rubber bits between the metal strapping and the tank, and between the tank and the frame rails where it sits against, I have these old lumber straps here that I cut bits off of, and that's what I have in there insulating me so we don't metal on metal rub holes right back into it. That's really important. If I didn't put these bits in, we'd have leak issues probably fairly soon. They may have something to do with grounding and electrostatic electricity. I have no idea. Probably not, but it's definitely so you don't rub holes in the tank against the metal. See down here, I've got strap piece between here, and I've got two strap pieces there and here at both ends of the tank. And now, we're pretty well all finished up with our fuel tank restoration problem. Now we just have one more little issue to address. Ain't got no gas in it. Now I just gotta figure out how to get down to the gas station, get me some gas in my can, come back and dump some in it so we can drive the truck to the gas station. Whew. On account of, I have some fuel left in my gas can that I've been using as a gas tank that was in the bed of the truck, but not enough gas to put into that tank and get anywhere. So, yeah, ain't got no gas in it. What do you think, guys? Well, fellers, we just drove the old truck for the first time in almost a week. No, maybe not that long. Maybe it's only been like 3 or 4 days. First time in 3 or 4 days without having a fuel line run through a rust hole in the bed into the gas can. We even made it to the gas station. Got gas in my new tank. Ooh, look at it. It's like some friggin' John Deere farm equipment under there. And it looks like it's not leaking it out. I already verified that the tank didn't leak before. While I was doing the evapor rust, I had to dump that out, then rinse the tank out, so I got to fill it up with water and see it hold water and not leak out and dump it out, so that was wonderful. Right now I'm going to dip under the hood and checulate the status of my one fuel filter up there, on account of there was a bunch of junk in my gas can because it was gas out of the tank and I didn't strain it like I should have. So before I close up for the day, I'm gonna pull that filter out, make sure she's still passable and not completely clogged up. But anyway, that about wraps up this here wonderful, awesome, amazing, long, super pain in the butt fuel tank restoration video. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day. Comment, like, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. And yeah, we'll see you later. Right, Bagel? If I didn't tell you, our new puppy's name is Bagel. Muffin, Bagel, Buddy.